Guys, we're gonna make a mountain of sauerkraut today from our biggest cabbage harvest.
Breakfast is ready, the kids have done their chores, and I'm about to go start milking if you want to go eat real quick.
It's not just that. When it's not just...
We've been setting up in the barn here for over an hour. I didn't think it was going to take that long. My sister Anna is actually here to help us make sauerkraut today. I'm really excited she's here. We've been talking about the best way to do this volume because we've never done this volume before. So we're going to go up to the garden. We've got tables set up, we got knives. There's still a few things I think we need to get, but we're going to go grab our cabbage before we do any more talking.
So fun!
I like grabbing these.
It looks like a weed patch, but it's actually a cabbage patch.
Cabbage number 1! Ooh. Put this in the wheelbarrow?
Beat you to it.
This one!
Oh, big excited. Yeah, let me get the cut started and then you can...
Oh my goodness, look at that one. Oh, careful, try not to drop them.
Don't feel it.
Good job. Time to hand them down. Have you picked this much cabbage at a time before, Anna?
No, I never have. Not this much.
I'm riding.
Alrighty. This is our biggest cabbage harvest yet, and a lot of the success of it is due to covering the cabbage plants in their early life in bug netting to keep off these moths. They've been all over it for the past few weeks because the weeds lifted it up. So the outer leaves are wholly from the moths, but the inner heads should be completely intact. I think that's a load. The cabbage leaf fan. It is hot out here, isn't it?
Peel all these cabbages so they look like this. Something, if you have never grown a cabbage that look like this, maybe it looks more like this from the store, more familiar. And yeah, the moths got to some of the outer leaves on there, and some of them are kind of rotten and slimy because they've been eating them. So we're getting them ready to chop. Yeah, some of them are a little bit. Is this all of it?
No, there should be half again this much. This is the one big bed. The moths were in there because the weeds lifted it up for the past few weeks. Oh. So the outer leaves are eaten up, which is no problem. We're not going to.
Just hopefully there's nothing down in it. This looks great. I don't know if we're gonna have enough jars.
Big.
The question is do we have enough space to store it since we don't have a root cellar this year?
All these junk leaves will go to the pigs. I'm actually just going to throw them all in there now and let them deal with them over the next day or two here. They're looking for something better than cabbage in there. They're like, what is there anything? Oh, there you go. Eating it, but yeah, they like green. Lemonade. Perfect. Thank you, Joyful. You made that? Did you make this? You made it.
I made it.
Thank you.
Check out these cabbages. When you're getting ready to ferment, it is definitely good to get as fresh as you can. You can totally get stuff from the grocery store to ferment and it'll come out great. Just keep an eye on the freshness Two things you're gonna get from that. The vegetable itself is gonna be in good shape. You don't wanna have a lot of blemishes or rot spots because that can throw off your ferments. And the second benefit is that it'll be nice and juicy. So when you throw the salt in the cabbage, the juice is gonna come right out and you won't have to add any water, and it'll just make the process easier and more fun.
We're chopping cabbage.
How about for scraps? Right there.
Ideally, we're gonna get pretty long, thin pieces.
Oh.
You know, I was so excited because I found some shovels to bring to the beach yesterday.
Oh no.
Are you joking? Is that what you bought?
Well, it was a gardening set.
You didn't read the description very closely, did you?
Well, what I was thinking is like, I'll just buy like gardening tools for the beach because then the kids can just use them at home too and they're not just using them one time.
Somewhere in that description it said these tools are 3 inches long.
I have many cabbage and many things.
Before we started chopping, we went back in and washed a few knives that we used to clean up and washed our hands really well. And before we even started all this, we wiped all these tables down, scrubbed these tables down really, so that we could actually work on them.
I have another bag.
Okay. You think that's enough, Anna? It's hard to know, just glancing at it.
I know, I go through it though when I'm making pesto, I go through it. So we should have one more bag.
Let's put it all in this one for this batch, and then we'll fill that one when we get back.
We're gonna go eat lunch. We're gonna let this cabbage sit with the salt, let them get to know each other, and then we'll be back shortly. Do you think we're gonna make more sauerkraut this year or last year? I keep saying it's more this year, but I think it's way more this year.
Yeah, I think so. The heads are bigger.
Can you remember how many heads we put in that jar last year when we made that big batch? We made a big batch in a big pickle jar. I think it was 13 heads. Is that right?
I was gonna say 16, so.
It was in the teens, but the heads are way bigger this year. So I think it's gonna be a much, much bigger batch. We're doing it differently though. No, we're not doing it in a big jar. How's the cabbage chopping going?
Great. Wow, look at that.
Is that too fine, honey?
I don't think you can really, you're not gonna go too far with that knife, I don't think.
You'd be surprised what I can do with a dull knife.
Well, when was that first batch of something fermented on top of our parents' fridge?
Oh yeah. I made kombucha in high school. A bunch.
That's fermented.
Yeah, it's about 15.
15 years. Leahy's helping us. Leahy, did you ferment with us for the first time?
Yes.
Just like last week or week before last maybe?
Yep, when you make the dilly beans.
And were the dilly beans good?
They were delicious.
What we're doing is we're actually salting the sauerkraut today to taste. And we're kind of checking right now. Anna already tasted it. Joyful tasted it. I'm just tasting to see if it's where I want it. Wow, it's good.
I think it's perfect.
I think if anything a little more, but actually I think it's really good.
I'm with you too. If anything
I'm down. I'd say let's do a little bit more.
Yeah, mix it.
You need the salt in sauerkraut to prevent bad bacteria from taking over, especially early in the process of fermenting. The basic process of fermenting is that you apply salt to vegetables and they form a brine. And then in that anaerobic environment, specific groups of bacteria take over. They're usually lactic acid producing bacteria, and in the end, the lactic acid in combination with the salt preserves the food.
Why lacto fermenting? That's what we're doing with this cabbage here. It's named for the type of bacteria that Art just mentioned that is gonna grow, and we're gonna do all the things to set it up for success by submerging it underwater so there's no oxygen in that area. That's where the anaerobic part comes in. Anaerobic is without oxygen, anaerobic is with oxygen. That's a whole different kind of fermenting. Oh yeah, it's nice. What's on?
Use the small size.
Part of creating our oxygen-free or very low oxygen environment for our bacteria that we want to do the magic in is packing your jar. If I'm working with even more, I'll sometimes pack as I go and just put a little bit in and pack down. But I think with this jar, it'll be fine. You're just gonna go in and just really press down, and you can see there's air bubbles in there, and they're making their way up as we compress the cabbage. And this compression is gonna get rid of those air bubbles and also create an area up here where the brine rises above the level of the vegetable, and that's gonna keep the oxygen from contacting the top of our ferment. I'll go in with my finger and just let some of those bubbles have a pathway up, and just do that kind of around the jar. So much grout.
We've got this huge pile of cabbage here again, and we're about to salt this and get ready to pound it so we can put it in jars. May I do the honors? So guys, I have a really cool announcement. Anna and I are working on building a fermenting course, and it will be our first course. And Anna is helping me put it together. She's teaching a lot of the material, and we're really excited to be offering this in a few weeks. We're designing this course with the single intent of having people come out of the backside, not only having made multiple different veg ferments, but very confident to branch out and do ferment any veg out of their garden that's, you know, appropriate for fermenting.
We also want to cover all the aspects of troubleshooting with fermenting you might run into. Learning how to ferment, it can be really unknown, and you can have a lot of questions.
We're gonna have a facility for support on the backside of the course where you can interact with us, ask questions.
We think it's gonna be so fun to all hang out together, virtually of course, but all hang out together all around this really fun process of transforming veggies.
I've got a request. As we're building this course, I'd love your help. If you could tell us two things in the comments. Number one, if you're interested in fermenting but have never done it, what's kept you from doing it? Question number two is, if we have to cover one thing in a fermenting course and can't leave, just something we can't leave out, what is that one thing? All right, thanks for your help in that. Leave comments answering those questions below. We're actually gonna take your feedback and work it into the course. Catch a bird, put salt on its tail.
And then cook and eat it.
All right, I think we're done.
Sweet.
You ready to start pounding? Have you gotten a turn yet? All right, there you are.
Now we're gonna walk you through how to finish up your sauerkrauts. We have chopped your cabbage, salted it, packed it in the jars. Now it's time to weigh it down, make sure the brine comes up over the level of the cabbage. So the first thing you wanna do is make sure that there's not a lot of bits stuck to the side of the jar. This is optional, but I like doing it. Take a little piece of cabbage leaf and poke some holes in it, and then put it like an upside down bowl. Slip it in there right on top of your cabbage. And that's not gonna weigh it down obviously, but it can help catch some straggler pieces when we do weigh it down. We're just using a smaller jar. This I think is the 8-ounce jelly jar, 4 ounce. And we've got some water in there. So we're just gonna set it in here. Let's check for how we're doing. We've got brine up over the cabbage, and that's what we're looking for. We're gonna cover it. We're not sealing it in any way. There's a lot of options there, but we're keeping it really simple today. So we've got a coffee filter. You can also use a tea towel, a dish towel, and then we'll take our ring and close it on over. And this is ready to go into our cool, dark fermenting area.
So far things are growing great, fermenting this big batch of sauerkraut. We actually ran out of jars, so we're washing more at this moment. So we're gonna fill up all of these, and I think we're on track to do probably 3 times what we did last year. I don't know if we'll get all that done today, but we're gonna get as much done as we can. What do you think about how much we made so far? All of those jars over there.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 and a half. That's amazing. And you've got more.
So that's, I think that's about 3 times what we did.
Well, you still have.
I still have half a bed that's only 1 bed. I still have half a bed of cabbage in the garden.
No. Okay.
What you got? Show me what you got.
Corn.
Where did that come from?
Is it golden?
Yeah, I just harvested you some dinner to make, honey.
Yeah.
Got corn, green beans, and sausage for dinner.
Okay, I'm gonna show you a really neat variation on sauerkraut now. And this is the cool thing about fermenting is you can just make this up as you go or look at a traditional recipe and vary it all you want. And I just flipped this camera 180 degrees to the onion bed. And I'm now shopping for onions. So this one looks good and this one looks good. I'm gonna chop these onions. We should start a cooking show. This is fun.
This is fun.
I've also got some green chili peppers, very spicy. I'm gonna just chop those pretty small. I'm not too worried about the size. And I've got some nice fresh oregano from the herb garden, Brianna's herb garden. So this is our last 2 pounding batches.
Yeah. Get it all out. Work it out. Get it out. Get it.
Okay, now I'm gonna take all of those ingredients and throw them into this pot of salted and actually mostly mixed, beaten, hammered, what are we calling this? Anyway, adding all those in here, I'm gonna mix that up really well and pack my jars with that. I am as excited about this one thing right here as I am about the whole project, honestly. I love spicy, whether it's kimchi or totally different, I love it. Now we just gotta pack it into jars and we're about ready to wrap up for the day. Good job, are you helping, big man?
Thanks. You want
Good
to pound
job.
this one down? Okay, pound this one down. Here you go. Mush it, mush it, mush it.
Good job. You're doing great. We did it. We didn't do all the cabbage, but we did all the cabbage that we picked. Count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. Basically 14 gallons. There's headspace in all of them. So if we want to bring it down, it's probably in the range of 12 actual gallons of sauerkraut. That's awesome. I'm really, really happy with it. Thank you, Anna.
So great.
Thanks for coming out and thanks for sharing a bunch of great information about fermenting with us.
So fun.
Now we just have to let them rot.
Now we just have to let them rot, as
Let
Grace
them
says. Okay, now we need to go check out the feed room down here because we're going to put this in a makeshift root cellar. We need the temperature to be lower than it is in the barn upstairs.
Very nice.
How does the temperature feel in here to you?
It's definitely cooler than upstairs.
This is the coolest place on our property that's consistently cool, other than under our house, but our house is really, really moldy and wet under our house still. So I think we're gonna go with this space, even though it's like not where I'd think of putting food. Mm-hmm. So I think I'm gonna just clear this off, sweep these off, and I'm gonna put them on these stairs.
One down. 27 to go.
27 trips carrying sauerkraut.
27 jars.
No, 27 jars. Okay, oops. Okay, we got them all down here. Now I'm just going to cover all this with a really light blanket, almost a sheet, to protect it from dust and keep them all clean. And I think that's going to be a good place to ferment some food. And we've got a bunch more stairs to fill in here.
Hey.
Come on, Alice. Come on, Alice. Guys, we knocked out the largest sauerkraut batch we've ever done today. Thank you for joining us. We will see you in our next video. Until then, bye.